All right, now, AD, you were born and raised in Compton.
Yes, sir.
What part of Compton?
The West Side.
West Side.
Yes,
So
sir.
who else is from the West Side?
Kendrick is from the West Side.
Okay.
Problem is from the West Side. MC8 is from the West Side.
YG.
YG's from the West Side as well. Who else is from the West Side? It's a lot of it. DJ Quick from the West Side. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what was Compton growing up in the, I mean, you were born in 89, so we're talking about the 90s, early 2000s.
Man, that shit was crazy. It was super crazy, especially like, you know, it wasn't, we had different rules back then and stuff like that. You know, like now it's more open and free, you know, but I remember back in the days, like you couldn't be cool with power rules and you couldn't be cool with Bloods and stuff like that. Like, you know, it was just, couldn't do it. It was unforgiving and stuff. And, you know, you couldn't be outside for a certain period of time. You had to watch your back when you went to the parks. And, you know, you couldn't be, you know, you going to a house party, especially 14, 15 years old, you knew it was gonna get shot up. You know, you knew it was gonna get shot up. Every party got shot up that you went to. It was just a matter of how long you wanted to be there for and how to get out. And, you know, you like, that's how you had your fun and stuff like that. And I know a lot of times growing up, you know, you don't think that something can happen to you until you start losing friends. And then you like, this shit is real. This can happen to me as well too.
Right, because your brother is doing 17 years right now.
17.
What did he go to jail for?
I don't know if he's still fighting this shit right now, but
Okay.
he went to, yeah.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. But yeah, he went to jail allegedly for some stuff. So I'm just gonna say that.
And how long ago did he go to jail?
He been in there for almost 4 years now.
Okay. How did you feel when your brother got 17 years? I mean, that's quite a shock.
Yeah, it wasn't really a shock because, you know, I got friends that are like, you know, brothers to me. I had some of my homeboys that lived with me, and, you know, that was just part of life living in Compton. Like, everybody goes to jail or people get shot or stuff like that happens. So it's just, you know, when you out there doing your thing and, you know what I mean, you taking penitentiary chances every day, you know, something happened, you can't really be too shocked, you know. Me as well, when I was younger, I used to do stupid shit. If I would have got caught back then, I mean, I couldn't get mad about the outcome of it happening, but I just wish that I could have steered my brother a different direction, which I tried to do, you know, but I was, you know, in it too, so I couldn't really say nothing to him as well.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, I think it's just sad when I hear someone say, everybody goes to jail, everybody gets shot. When you go to a house party, you expect it to get shot up. So you're essentially walking out of the house preparing to die or lose your freedom on a daily basis. Yeah. It's just a fucked up way to live. Man. You know, I know it gets glamorized and everything else like that, but, you know, I always try to bring the reality into these interviews that it's not something that should really be bragged about.
Nah, ain't nothing to talk about. Like, you know, a lot of guys, I don't know, a lot of people that ain't really lived in the city don't really know about it. So they, you know, they come to the city and they think it's cool and stuff like that. But, you know, if you ain't lived it like that, then, you know, you would never want to go back to living like that ever again. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm blessed to be able to move out the hood and, you know, do what I want to do. Because there's a lot of people who, you know, tried to rap, tried to play basketball, try to do stuff. And, you know, one second, one instant, everything just got destroyed from there on. And it's way more people doing time in jail and dead that I know that are on the street. Yeah. I used to hang around 13, 14 people. It's like 3 or 4 of us left.
Yeah, I mean, well, you have a Crip theme that kind of goes throughout all your music, and this is something that you talked about yourself. Like, how old were you when you first got involved in all that?
I always lived in my neighborhood, and, you know, the thing was, like, I didn't want to start gangbanging and doing things like that just, you know, because, like, it was more like a protection thing. You know, your friends, you grow up and, you know, you grow up with your neighbor across the street. You grow up with your homie around the corner and y'all hanging with each other every day. Y'all playing at the park football, you know, with skateboards and stuff like that. Then you go around the corner, some niggas hopping out on you, you know what I'm saying, trying to beat you up or do something like that. So it's more like, you know what, this is my friend. You got a problem with my friend. So it's like, fuck y'all, basically. And, you know, always try to bring always had different different ways of thinking. You know, I always looked at a lot of movies and a lot of TV shows and always like wanted to make a way out. You know what I'm saying? I didn't like living where I was at. I love my homies and stuff, but I always wanted to empower them. Like, look, you know, if anything, let's get some money, get the fuck out of here and keep shit going. And you know, shit happens though. You know what I'm saying? You can get in an instant. You could be chilling on the block, somebody come wet the block up, and then you know you gotta do something about that. You know what I mean? You gotta do something about that. But you know, that shit ain't no way of living. Nah, not at all.
I mean, if you think about, you know, I'm not going to ask about any specifics, but if you think about how many times you've been in a situation where shots were fired around you, like how many?
Plenty of times. I mean, like shit. My manager can tell you. Last year, last summer, I think it was 4 or 5 shootouts. You know what I'm saying? That we had no direction, like nothing involved
In your vicinity.
In the vicinity, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in the vicinity, but you know, it had nothing to do with me particular.
Someone else is having
But it
a
was
problem,
just, you know, certain places that we was at the wrong place at the wrong time. But living in LA, period, though, you know, if you really in the streets, you're gonna hear shots, definitely.
Well, certain parts of LA.
Certain parts of LA.
You know.
When I say LA, I mean, you know, South Central Los Angeles County.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at like how it was with like, you know, when your parents were around, you know, and the type of wars that were breaking out in the 80s, in the 90s, and so forth. When you look at the situation in Compton now, do you think it's about the same, better, or worse?
I think it's better now. I mean, we went from, you know, being Black Panthers and fighting for equality and, you know, and to street gangs, you know, crack cocaine hit and stuff like that. I know when my grandmother was growing up, you know, everybody on her block, they all were like a tight-knit family, you know, being African Americans and stuff too, minorities, and they kept things going. So it's like, you know, you come into that community, it was like a real community. You get into it with a kid in that community, everybody's coming for you, and it had nothing to do with gangs. And then, you know, fast forward to when my mom was growing up in the same household, and my uncles growing up in the same household, then, you know, the crack era came as everybody, gangs and everything, you know, like a lot of them tell me like those eras, it was, you know, it was no structure, it was no holds bar because, you know, when you off of crack cocaine, your mind, I mean, you don't have no train of thought. You can't reason with nobody like that.
Yeah.
And it was terrible. You know, flash forward to when I was growing up as well too, it was way worse. You know, I mean, now you're able to, you know, go to Paru hoods and Compton Crips and Parus can, you know, hang around each other's hoods and stuff like that. Like back in the days, like my first album was Game album that I'm on. My second album was YG album, and these two Parus from Compton. You know, back in the days, I wouldn't be able to do songs with them.
Right.
Or hang with their homies or have their homies come hang with me. I'd be accepted.
No, I mean, because I remember even like, because I've been in the business for like 15 years, and I remember even like 10, 12 years ago in LA, certain rappers just could not work with other rappers because of the gang lines. You know what I mean? Like people love DJ Quick, but you couldn't work with DJ Quick if you were a Crip or, you know, if you were a different type of blood or whatever else. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you fast forward to 2017, I don't see that anymore. You know what I mean? Look at TDE. You got Crips and Bloods on the same label, like, you know, without no problems. You know, you talk about you doing songs with YG and everything else like that. And I never hear people really like kind of gang banging against each other on records in terms of Crip Blood type shit.
Nah.
You know, whereas the 90s, that shit was some real shit.
Well, the climate changed now. You know, now, you know, the Parus beef for Parus, Crips beef for Crips. So it's like, it's just totally reversed. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just crazy now. Like, that's why a lot of Compton Crips and Parus were hanging with each other. It's still some eternal beefs from back in the days, but for the most part, you know, everybody like money.
Okay.
And if they can get money with each other, they doing music, they doing whatever.
So you're saying that now Crips are beefing with other Crips more than they're beefing with other Bloods.
It's like that all in, you know, it's like that all in Los Angeles.
Why is that?
I really don't know. I think the music changed a lot of that as well too, but you know, like you don't see per se DJ Quick Hood beefing with a Compton Crip Hood. You don't see stuff like that no more. My neighborhood don't beef with, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody really, it's not color lines no more at the end of the day. And maybe because a lot of the hoods are closer together, you know, like especially in Compton, like you go 2-3 blocks, you in another hood. It's like that fast. 30 seconds, you know, separates the stuff. So yeah, it's not like that no more. So the traditional way of gangbanging has changed, and anything can happen. You can have a fight with somebody, they homies get mad about that. If you somebody accidentally gets shot in a shootout, they homies get mad about that. So it's like the whole climate has changed. It's way different now. So you don't see that in music per se. So now it's like, okay, well, we don't beef with these niggas over here. We could do music and get money together.
Yeah. You know, and it seemed like, you know, for example, in hip hop, it seemed like for a long time it was really kind of blood dominated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Lil Wayne, I feel, kind of blew that up to a certain degree. You know, which is interesting because he's not even from LA. You know, and then Chris Brown kind of jumped on that, and you just, for a while, you just saw blood rappers, and then I feel like you kind of started to see sort of an evening out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Schoolboy Q was a Crip, and Nipsey was a Crip, and now you're seeing people like you, G Perico, and other you know, other rappers coming out of different areas. So it's kind of evening out a little bit.